Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden 21 Blitz Tips video breakdown, I want to take a look at double edge and B-gap pressure. And what this video breakdown is going to be about is showing you how to combine both of these two elements together into one to combine for a defense that's going to bring pressure from the outside on both sides of the ball, or both sides of the offensive line, and also through the B-gap at the same time. So for those of you guys who've already watched the triple threat pressure video breakdown that I did, very similar to that. We're going to end up getting that same type of pressure, obviously a little bit different because we did it from the nickel double A gap, but it's pretty much the same idea and the same concept. Also, if you guys have not watched the 3-4 over sting pinch video that I broke down already, I suggest going ahead and looking at that one because it does show you some of the same stuff, but it doesn't combine at all. For example, it shows you the double edge, it shows you A gap pressure, and it also just shows edge pressure. Whereas here, we're going to show you how to combine it all into one. So let's go ahead and look at the depth chart. And I want to go ahead and get into that because that's where I want to first start off here, mainly because I want to show you a couple things you might want to do here. So let's go ahead and do that if you're following along. And the team that we're going to use for this breakdown is the Steelers. And one of the reasons I chose the Steelers for this breakdown is because they got a lot of fast linebackers. Let's go ahead and hit the auto reorder. That's one of the things I like to do when I do my first of my setups, is to go ahead and do that. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do here is go down to the middle linebacker spot. I just want to go ahead and show you the one sub I am going to make. And you'll notice right here as you look at it, we've got Williams. He's at the number 2 spot here on the screen. As you look at it, I want to go ahead and move Devin Bush up to the number 2 spot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, and I'll show you why here in just a second. You'll notice that he has a 90 speed rating. That's the reason I want to bring him in there, is because he's fast. And so I like to get him on the field regardless. He's just a fast linebacker. Should be starting, in my opinion. Now, the Steelers do have a couple other fast linebackers as well. Dupree's already starting. He starts at the right outside linebacker position. He's got an 87 speed. And you also got Gilbert. He's got an 88 speed. So you've got some, you got a lot of different things you can work with as far as players that can help as far as at the linebacker position with the Steelers. Now, I want you guys to keep this in mind. If you're playing with another team, make sure you put your fastest linebacker in where I'm about to show when we get to the sub menu, because that's going to make things a little bit better as far as the way this blitz is going to work. So let's go into that next. We'll get to the play call screen first here. And then, as I said already, we're going to run it from the 3-4 over. And the other thing I mentioned is that we're going to use the sting pinch. I want to go ahead and do the subs right now. And you'll notice as we look at this, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here just so you guys can see this. What I want to do is I need to go ahead and move Bush from where he's at lined up right here, which is going to be the right inside linebacker spot, over to the left inside linebacker. So I'm going to go ahead and make those adjustments as let's go ahead and zoom back in again just so you guys can watch as I'm doing it. So as I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and move Bush out of here. But what I need to do that is I need to go ahead and move a couple guys around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right here as we go through this breakdown, and I'll show you guys the ones that we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and move Williamson over to where Bush is at, but first thing we need to do that is to sub him out, and then we're going to go back over here as you're looking at your screen, and then we're going to move Bush out, and we're going to move Williamson back in, and then we're going to go back over here, and then we're going to move Bush in. So now Bush is lined up at the left inside linebacker screen, as you see. Now, I know I could have done this through the packages where I just flipped them, or I could have done it in the depth chart and all that. But like I said, at this point, I kind of like to keep Williamson in there as my starting linebacker at the depth chart, and then bring Bush in the 3-4 defense, and then maybe not have Bush out there as much in the other, like the nickel packages and the dime packages or whatnot. But anyway, that's that on that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is to go ahead and use this right here as you look at it. I'm going to go ahead and go to that next, and that's going to be the packages. I want to go ahead and show the packages to you, and that's the reason I didn't use the middle linebacker flip, because what I'm about to do right now is to go ahead and flip the outside linebacker. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as we're looking at our screen here, and then we'll go ahead and zoom in. You guys can see it, especially if you guys are using a phone. I kind of want to make sure you guys can see it. So now I've got the outside linebackers flipped, and what this is going to do, this is going to flip Watt to the right outside linebacker. And as you already know about Watt, I've kind of done a few breakdowns with him in here in the Madden Guides YouTube channel. The one thing I like about him is you look at it, he's got this edge threat, and that makes him very nice to have, because he can bring pressure off the right side, from the right side where he's lined up at, which would be the left side of the offensive line, where he can bring pressure from that side of the ball and get pressure on the quarterback, even if he's blocked. So, and that's going to flip, and you're going to see as we get on the screen, that's going to flip him and Dupree around. So let's get back into the play call screen, and we'll get going with this breakdown as far as the actual setup so you guys can see it. So we're going to go into the 3-4 over. And as I mentioned earlier when we first started the breakdown, this is going to be a defense that we're going to flip. So let's go ahead and flip it at the play call screen, which I just did. And then as far as on the offensive side of the ball, for right now, we're just going to go ahead and run this out of the gun doubles Y off. And I think I'll just run this play called angle fade stop, which is fine. Doesn't really matter. Just keep in mind everybody's going out. All right, so as you can see on your screen, you can see this is a cover 0 defense. We have no defenders playing deep as far as zone coverage are concerned. All right, as far as with the setup here, I'm going to go ahead and show you again the players that we moved around so you guys can see where they're at on the field based on the actual play call screen as you're looking at it once we actually get on the field here so you can see the play art. So what I mentioned already is that we've got Watt lined up here, and then we're going to have Bush lined up right there as you look at your screen there. And then finally over here on the other side, we've got Dupree. So those are the linebackers as far as on the screen here is what we've got going on with the pressure that we're going to show here as far as getting pressure on a quarterback. Now, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit, and I want to kind of walk you guys through what's going to happen here as we go through this. So as I mentioned, let's go ahead and move Dupree over here. Dupree is going to be bringing that pressure off the edge, and he's going to get in there without being blocked at all. He's going to come off this edge right here, and he will not be blocked. And then as you look at it, what you're going to find here is you're going to get Watt, who's lined up right here. He's also going to get pressure. Now, he will get blocked. The left tackle will come out here and try to block him. But a lot of times, as I said, with Watt's X factor ratings and stuff, his abilities, especially that edge rush that he's got, he can get around that left tackle and get pressure on the quarterback. And then the other guy that I've already mentioned, which is going to go ahead and be Bush, let's go ahead and take a look at him. Again, he's lined up right here. This is the guy that I'm going to be in control of. Now, what you're going to find is I'm actually going to move him up. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's go ahead and move him up. So I'm going to go ahead and take control of him. I want to move him up into this area here. And so I'm in control of Bush now. And then what Bush is going to do when I'm in control of him, I'm going to have him go this direction. And then I am going to have him go into this direction to get the pressure on a quarterback. However, there's two other things we got to do besides moving him up. The first thing we got to do is we've got to go ahead and slant the defensive line to the right, such as what you see on your screen. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and spread the linebackers out. Now, when I get into the instant replay, I'll explain a little bit more why we're doing this so you guys get an idea of what's going on. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run this. Now, let me tell you something about this defense. If you're really, really good on the stick, you can get this pretty much consistently. Me, I don't get it every single time because I'm not quite there. Plus, I'm trying to do two controllers at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Now, one thing I'm going to suggest to you is I like to hold down the right trigger, and we're going to go ahead and run this. And then I'm going to come around here. Oh, I hit the wrong button there, but you can see it. I hope you guys saw the gap right there. And again, I'm not perfect at this every single time, and I can definitely get it to work. It's just that I'm not always the as I said before, and I've done these videos many, many times for you guys. You guys know I'm probably not as good on the stick as I used to be. All right, so right there we got the pressure, and you can see right there we came in there, and we basically got in. I'm going to do this one more time. Same setup again. If you want to, let's go and do the same setup here. So we'll go ahead and slant the defensive line to the right. Go ahead and spread the linebackers out. Take control of this guy right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold that button down, and then we're going to come around. And then you can see right there, we get the pressure. Now, you'll notice one of the things I'm doing is I'm strafing as I'm coming around. You do not have to strafe. For me, I feel like I get a little bit better control, and that allows me to get through there a little bit better. So I'm basically, I'll be honest with you, I'm holding down both buttons once I get across. Let's look at this, and I'll show this a little bit more. We'll go ahead and run it from instant replay. There's where I hit that strafe button right there. Now, you do not have to hit the strafe button. If you want to, just continue to hit the speed button and go after the quarterback. For me, for some reason, I just have a habit of hitting that. But you notice I still get in there. And if you look at it, if we're zooming in on it, you can see clearly that we're getting that pressure here. And then you can see we're getting all that pressure. We got pressure coming there and there as well. We got all this pressure coming in as you look at it at the quarterback. And so that's really nice. Let's go back and rewind this because I want to walk you guys through some of the thought process of what I'm trying to do with this setup. Now, you remember earlier on I told you we're going to slant the defensive line to the right. The idea of this is, let's just kind of just show this here, say for example, these guys right here going to the right of your screen. What this does is it's going to force these linemen to kind of go to the inside. And that's what I'm trying to do. In particular, as you look at it, this guy right here, it's going to be this left guard. I need him to go to the inside. I need him to slide to the inside. The reason I want him to do that is it's going to create more room for me to manually rush Bush through, and that's one of the reasons I do that. The other reason that we go ahead and spread the linebackers out is for that same reason. If you look where we've got Watt lined up right there, what we're trying to do is get the left tackle to go out further. So what will happen is you watch, let's go back here and just kind of go through this. If you go back and rewind it right there, see how that gap is starting to create? And that's because of the slant to the inside or slant to the right with the defensive line. And by spreading the linebackers out, it creates that void right there where I can get through quicker. And that's the reason I did that. That's the whole reason for that. So that's the reason you want to do that. Now, I want to go back and run this one more time. I want to show you something else you guys can do if you wanted to. I did not call press coverage. If you want to call press coverage, go ahead. Just keep in mind, this is coverage 0. And that's the downside of this, is that if you call that, then you always risk, the bump and run man beater. So you got to be careful with that type of stuff when you do that. Now, you don't have to spread the linebackers out. I prefer to do it because, as I said before, I'm trying to create a bigger gap. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'd like to go ahead and spread those linebackers out so I get a better chance. This time, I'm just going to hold down the right trigger, and then I'm going to try to get around there. And that time I got caught up. Now, sometimes you might get caught up. And if you get caught up, you're still going to get edge pressure. You're still going to get the double edge pressure. At least somebody's going to get in. Dupree's always going to get in regardless if you don't do the setup right for some reason. You're always going to get that pressure. And so that's the one good thing right there. Actually, right there, let me reset this. Let me reset this real quick. All right, so let's go back here and slant the defensive line to the right. And then we're going to go ahead and spread the linebackers out. All right, let's go ahead and run this again. Same setup as what I've been showing. And again, I got caught up, but I still got that same pressure on there. I'm going to do it one more time for you guys, just so you guys can see it. But that's really the setup right there as far as getting the pressure. It's just a matter of getting around fast enough with the linebacker and getting that pressure. Let's go and do the same thing again here. See, and that time I didn't use the straight button. I just totally whiffed them as I came around. Now, keep in mind, I'm trying to do a lot of different things when I'm doing that, but you guys can see the pressures coming around as I'm doing this, and you can certainly get the pressure on the quarterback. It's just a matter of having control. And as I've said before, my control probably is not what it once was, but I can still do it. It's just not quite there. So let's go and do the same thing again. And that time I get in there. So one of the other things I can sometimes will do is because I lack, and especially you guys out there, older guys out there just like me, you may end up, let's go and reset this one more time here. You guys may want to release the guy and allow the computer to take control once you get through the gap. And that's what I'm going to show you next year once I keep screwing around with this defense here. All right, so there we go with there. And then we're going to go ahead and slant the defensive line to the right. And then we're going to go ahead and spread the linebackers out. And this time I'm going to release him once he gets around that gap. And I want to go ahead and show you what else you can do, especially if you older guys out there who might have a little bit of problem with this. See right there? You can release them just like I did there. And sometimes I'll do that. If you guys feel like your stick control is not totally underneath there, then once he gets through the B gap, you can go ahead and release him and allow the computer to take control of him if you don't feel like your stick's up this par. And that's, to be honest with you, as I said before, especially as older guys, maybe we're not quite as good on the stick as some of you younger guys out there. Once you get past that thing right there, you can see right there, once you get past, just go ahead and release him, and it'll switch you over to here to Dupree, and you can just control Dupree as he comes in. So that's the other option with this. But it's certainly a defense that's going to go ahead and bring some pressure on the quarterback. Let's go ahead and do this one more time here. Let's go ahead and do the setup one more time. And there we go with that. And then I'll just do it one more time here, and I'll be done with it here. So we're going to go around. And if you want to release, you can release. And then you get that pressure right there. So hopefully, guys, this will give you guys some ideas that you can definitely apply some pressure on the quarterback. And not a really hard setup. Very, very simple, to be honest with you. If you play in an online franchise league, and as long as you're allowed to go ahead and move one player, you can certainly use this because you're only moving one guy, and then you're just doing 2 other pre-snap adjustments. And as I mentioned, hopefully, from my perspective, as I said, the younger guys who got really good stick control, or even some of the older guys who still got good stick control, then go ahead and, by all means, manually control that guy. If you're not good at the stick control, and maybe you're just a little bit not quite as fast on the trigger as you once were, just get them to the B gap and then release them, and then just take control of the other guy once you do that, because it works the same anyways. And you still can get triple, you can get that triple edge pressure. You get two guys coming in from the outside, and you get double edge pressure coming from the outside. And then you also get that B gap pressure coming from the linebacker that you were initially in control of. So, guys, I hope this video breakdown helps you guys out as far as bringing some pressure from the sting pinch and allows you to get 3 guys in rather than just 1 or 2 guys in.